wondering, I mean, if it was on there, should it be taken?
I don't have the original, so.
And especially with the panels, I mean, if we get pigeonholed as a certain amount now, and it's so much, it's gonna be on taxpayers, so they should be on every 2 years if you're assessed, absolutely.
It was on the original one, if it did, I think we should keep it on as well. It protects us, like you explained, so we have this.
I guess the question is, how do you word this?
Well, two choices. You can either table it for tonight and we can redraft it, or you can verbally
Have a condition?
re-add those conditions. And we can just make sure that the final version that comes, reads that way, and I happen to have the original with me. So we can add those.
You just want to take it, maybe. It's gonna be a lot of work.
It's not gonna affect their current commitment we table it, it's not gonna move up anything or change.
No, it's not.
It's still gonna go with business as usual, just go on to the next meeting, that's it.
Whatever you guys want to do.
What's your resolution? We can table it just for 2 weeks.
All right, so you want to re-add, I just want to make sure, you want to re-add 4?
Yeah, I can see it for a second. Memorized?
4's,
Yes.
all right, 3, does 3 come back in?
Oh, did we hear anything from New York
Yes.
State Department of Environmental Conservation?
Yes. Following the resolution, they issued a permit on September 3rd. which-
We're at Lancaster board meeting, guys.
So that number 3 is satisfied.
Okay, do they have to come back and look at it again to make sure they met the requirements that are in it?
Requirements in here are simply.
We're here to address the sign at the police station.
Disturb additional earth beyond that portion which is to be improved, and they have to follow, every 3 years, they have to cut it and mow it,
Lancaster, New York.
so as not to disturb the sandpiper, please forgive me, the name of the, indigenous species.
I was typically, DEC would be inspecting it during construction, because they're not, I'm sure they're out there watching the cat.
Okay, so, again, just so to be clear, they're gonna come in, they're gonna watch the cap, if something goes wrong, they're gonna shut it down themselves? Nothing we need to worry about it?
Yeah, well, and, yeah, I guess, that's under their jurisdiction.
Okay, so it'd be 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
Yeah.
You got it.
So we're gonna table for this meeting and we do that. Hold, I should say, hold it for this meeting. Table.
Table.
Table it.
Re-add 4 and 5.
Okay. Councilmember Bernhardt, number 10.
Confirm membership roster for Twin District.
And then I'll go to Councilmember Pickton.
Number 11 is to set a public hearing for a special use permit for Back Home and Yard Services LLC, and it's for storage on 515 Haven Road. And that's going to be the next meeting, like a public hearing.
12 and 13, go back to Councilmember Bernhardt.
Request bids for Opera House HVAC. 13, approve expenditure of funds for emergency repairs, town hall building.
Councilmember Pickton, 14.
This is the approval for the special use permit for Ransom Auto Parts at 867 Ransom Road.
Councilmember Mason, number 15. Is to adopt a negative declaration for seeker, negative declaration at Edgewell East at 6026 Broadway. 16 goes to Councilmember Bernhardt.
Authorize supervisor to execute intermunicipal agreement regarding police captain attendance to the village and special board meetings.
Councilmember Mason, number 17. Number 17 is to accept the adopt this negative declaration, seeker negative declaration at Genesee Parkway Development at 5428 Genesee Street. Councilmember Pickton, number 18.
Number 18 is another special use permit renewal. This is for Anderson's Closing Custer and Transfer Road.
19 goes to me, and that's to allow the Lancaster Garden Club to use the senior center parking lot. And 20 is Councilmember Lewis.
Number 20 is to appoint Andrew Strait of the town of Lancaster to the IDA, Lancaster Industrial Development Agency.
I got a question on that. I didn't know there was an opening. I know we got the three people that sent letters in. I guess
Ms. McNichol was in the audience tonight.
I don't know, like I said, I'm only hearing things that, you know,
We should probably ask the questions during the meeting. The question when he presents the resolution.
Sure. I can explain it to you now.
it's,
Yeah, basically, Ms. McNichol has admitted to the last 4 meetings. The attorney for the IDA told us at the last meeting that we were supposed to fill that seat. We went out and got some applications from different people who were interested in joining the IDA. And Mr. Strait came with some good recommendations, and therefore I'm pushing forward with that resolution at this point.
We also have a process to put it on our website and advertise it for a certain amount of time. That was never done either, but I'll save that for the resolution.
I want to hear what Ms. Nicholas has to say about her absentees.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think we're break. We got 2 minutes. We can start our meeting. Chief.
How you doing today, Mark? Pleasant. No more snow.
Oh, we'll see that.
No more. Please, Lord, no more. You know what? I'm so glad I took one side of our house for these months to pine trees. And the one blew over, snapped in the top of our story house. My neighbor across, it looked like a perfect Christmas tree. He comes over, he goes to me, "Oh, your tree?
Yeah.
You want to see the rest of it on my roof?" Well, we took them all down. I don't gotta worry about rain no more this week. It was a perfect Christmas tree all I got there.
Call me to order. Then would you please do the roll call?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Here.
Councilmember Dickman.
Here.
Councilmember Leary.
Here.
Councilmember Mazer.
Yes.
Supervisor King.
Here. Councilmember Mason, would you do the pledge of allegiance, please?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
40 years ago, I had the opportunity to play football in this town for a great coach and teacher, Mr. Joseph Boyle. Coach Boyle passed away last week at the age of 97. Over a 40-year period, Coach Boyle influenced so many young men and women in this community. He taught his players to be humble and always give it their best effort on and off the field. He taught a strong concept of teamwork and working together to get the job done. Thank you, Coach, for everything you did for this community. Godspeed, Coach. You read this.
Amen.
Tonight's meeting, we have 19 briefings and 14 Number 9 is being tabled. We have no suspended resolutions, no public hearings. We have 2 executive sessions, one being under number 2 for Parks and Recreation, and the second one being under number 1 is proposed pending or current litigation. We'll be closing in memory of Donald J. Ventura, former police officer, Coach Joe Floyd. Richard Yannick, John Tulinsky, Bert Lyon, and Isabel Hagan. At this point, I'll allow anybody from the audience to speak on the 19 pre-filed resolutions by show of hands. After I call you, please come up to the podium, state your name and address, so our clerk can report on them. Yes.
Good evening, Lynn Ruda, 158 Norwood Road in Lancaster. I'm here to speak tonight on the resolution regarding the appointment of a new addition to the Lancaster IDA. I would urge you to consider keeping Shannon McNichol on the board. I know that in the previous year, we had precedent where we had a member who missed 4 meetings and was not replaced. It is my understanding that nobody reached out to Shannon to find out what her individual circumstances were prior to her, this resolution being here, which would relieve her of her position. I believe that she is an incredible advocate for our community. She is a strong female business owner who has an incredibly successful business in Lancaster, which I think is important. I think as the mayor of the community, I see 15 to 20 female-owned businesses. I think it's an important voice to have at the table. I think you've appointed her not 1 year in a row, but 2 years in a row, and would ask that you continue having her serve throughout the remainder of her term. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Yes?
Duly respect what the mayor said about Sharon Nicole, but watching a lot of the videos from the Lancaster IDA, I seem to, my prior knowledge is that she was absent for a lot of the IDA meetings. If that's true, then what would be the excuse for wanting to be on such an important committee as the IDA of Lancaster and not showing up at the meetings? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Hi everyone, Shannon McNichol, 36 Hillside Parkway, Lancaster. I thought I'd simply come here to introduce myself. I had personal circumstances that kept me from the last few meetings, so I'm just here to say that I'm committed to the remaining 9 meetings of this year. I do deeply care about Lancaster and what's best in the best interest of the town and village, and I'm a very judicial person. I have high integrity. I do run my business like a well-oiled machine. I treat the board, being on board the same way. I don't have a lot of time. I am very selective with the boards that I choose to sit on. I'm asked all the time to sit on different committees and different boards throughout all of Erie County and Western New York. And I did commit to this board, and I am here for the remaining 9 months, should you choose to keep me on. You have my word.
Thank you.
Could you just answer a question for me?
Sure.
You said nobody contacted you about where you were for the last 4 months?
No, not from the town board, no.
No, not from the town board, anybody from the IDA contacted you?
Heavenly Master left me one voicemail in February or March. I have to check.
Okay, nobody from the town board reached out to her?
I spoke with Shannon last week when I knew this was coming up, but that was the first time I spoke with her as soon as I heard about this last week.
Thank you.
Sure.
Heavenly Master, 720 Schwartz. I have on my phone January 18th at 1:30, I sent her an email. Prior to that, in January, I called or sent a text message to all the individuals on the board, letting them know what time and date in January we were supposed to meet. I got no responses. I did leave her messages on her phone, which she couldn't say what she wants. I did call her. I didn't want to get into harassment. You only call somebody so many times before harassment kicks in. But I might, here, I guess the easiest way to do this. Let me find it here. There it is. That happened to be the only text I sent that I have on my phone, but there were other phone calls. Unfortunately, my record does not go back that far. And when she, with the December meeting, she did not show up, heard nothing. January, reached out to everybody, heard nothing. After that, I didn't bother, but on all the emails, if you go to the town clerk's office, her email address has been listed on every IDA piece of paperwork coming through, so, and there was no response in that form. So you have to make up your own mind on that. That can be pulled up from the clerk's office. Thank you.
So just so the board knows, she's currently not on the IDA board, okay? When you take an oath of office, you have to get, when you're appointed, you have to take an oath of office. It's gotta be done within 30 days. Now, that didn't happen since she didn't show up at any of the meetings. So right now, she's not even on the IDA board. That's state law, so.
Anybody else like to speak? Second time? Third time? Okay. There's no public hearings, official reports?
I failed to mention during the work session, the topic of the 647 Ransom Road split and the roofing permits that have been issued a year and a half ago or so. So I did commit to reissuing further repairs as was requested earlier today. I just wanted to have the board acknowledge that. You know, the previous owner is still in litigation with the town courts, so I don't feel it would be proper to penalize new purchaser on the behaviors of the former owner. Thank you.
Anything else? Town board committees? Okay. We're gonna move on to our resolutions then. I'd like to move resolution 1, which resolves the minutes of the regular meeting of the town board held March 20, 2023, being hereby approved. May I have a second? Second. On the question? Please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rupino?
Yes. I'd like to move resolution 2, this is not the following audit claims, being hereby ordered paid from the respective accounts as administered to be filed in the office of the town clerk at the supervisor's office. It's check run number 04032-023. Total amount hereby authorized to be paid is $855,614.55. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rupino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, number 3.
Yes. Mr. Supervisor, Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution and move for its adoption. Be it resolved that the following building permit applications be and are hereby reaffirmed. There is a total of 38 permits in the town, 14 in the village, for a total of 52. Now therefore be resolved that the building permit applications here in code of CSW for conditional sidewalk waiver being hereby reaffirmed with a waiver of town ordinance required for sidewalks. However, the waiver is granted upon the express condition that the town of Lancaster at any future date reserves the right to order sidewalk installation at the expense of the project.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rupino?
Yes. I'd like to move this number 4, and this resolves that Supervisor Ryan is hereby authorized to execute an agreement by and between the town of Alden on behalf of the Alden Fire Prevention District and the Consolidated Water District of the town of Lancaster, providing for rental of 48 hydrants along the westerly line of the town line road, from Shimmer Road south to the south boundary line of town of Alden, commencing April 1st, 2023, and terminating March 31st, 2028, all in accordance with the terms of the second reading. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rupino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, you have numbers 5 through 7, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor, Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution and move for its adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster has held a public hearing on March 20th, 2023, pursuant to Chapter 400 zoning, administration and enforcement, Section 478, the Code of the Town of Lancaster, entitled Special Use Permits, upon application of Purple Acquisitions, doing business as Take 5 Oil by Alex Gage, designee of Thomas Manco, property owner of the existing building located at 4885 Transfer Road as an automotive oil change facility within the town of Lancaster. Whereas persons for and against such permit have had an opportunity to be heard, Whereas Matt Michelle, code enforcement officer of the town of Lancaster, has inspected the facility and found the building to be currently vacant with no significant violations. Now therefore be resolved, that pursuant to chapter 400 zoning, article 5, commercial districts, section 400-18 and 400-78 of the code of town of Lancaster, town code chapter 418B1A in the village, town of Lancaster, New York, does hereby grant purple acquisitions doing business at Cape 5 Oil by Alex Beach, designee for Tom Manco, a special use permit to operate an automotive oil change facility on premises located at 4885 Transit Road within the town of Lancaster. Upon the conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance and the following conditions for the period beginning April 3rd, 2023, and ending April 2nd, 2025. Number one, obtain an operational permit from the building and zoning department upon the business occupying the space to ensure fire safety, property maintenance, and compliance. Two, the LED message sign must be programmed for stagnant messages at 8-second intervals. Failure to maintain will require the removal of the device upon notification of the town board after prescriptive proceedings if warranted. Three, permit must be renewed every 2 years at no additional cost to the applicant. Number four, applicant will authorize representatives from the building inspector's office to enter the premises upon reasonable notice to inspect the premises to verify compliance with this permit. Five, applicant will obtain and provide proof of the valid New York State business license from the appropriate regulatory agency for the service being involved, provided. Six, business must operate within all confines of the town of Lancaster's ordinance.
May I have a second? Second. On the question? Call the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Levine?
Yes.
Resolution number 6, whereas Kevin Heist, owner of Elite Athletics Detail LLC, automotive detail shop, has submitted an application for a special use permit to use the existing building located at 515 Pavement Road, Suite 9, Lancaster, New York, as permitted in the light industrial district, and in accordance with provisions chapter 400-46 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, and whereas chapter 400 zoning, article 14, administration and enforcement, section 400-78 special use permits of the zoning code of the Town of Lancaster, requires that the town board conduct a public hearing before the issuance of a special use permit for the proposed use. Now therefore be resolved pursuant to chapter 400-78 special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, a public hearing on the proposed special use permit for Kevin Heist, owner of Elite Athletics Detail, automotive detail shop, to use the existing building at 515 Pavement Road, Suite 9, Lancaster, New York, to operate an automotive detail facility, will be held at the Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, on the 17th day of April, 2023, at 7:05 p.m. local time. And the notice of the time and place of such hearing will be published in Lancaster Bee, a newspaper of general circulation in the town, be posted on the town bulletin board, and that a copy of such notice of hearing be referred to the Erie County Department of Planning pursuant to section 239M of the General Municipal Law, which notice shall be in form attached hereto and made part thereof.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor Levine?
Yes.
Resolution number 7, whereas the town board of the town of Lancaster previously held a public hearing pursuant to section 478 special use permits of the code of the town of Lancaster upon application of Isaac Barnhill, licensing coordinator for 7-Eleven Incorporated, for a special use permit to operate a convenience store with gas station and car wash on the premises located at 4949 Transit Road, town of Lancaster. And the town board issued such a use permit on April 18, 2022 for a 1-year period. And whereas by letter of March 6, 2023, Isaac Barnhill has requested the town board renew the special use permit for an additional 1-year term. And whereas Matt Michelle, town code enforcement officer, has inspected the property and found it to be in compliance with site plan and prior special use permit approvals and conditions with 400-18 of Lancaster Town Code or his dated March 9, 2023 letter. Now therefore be resolved as follows. Pursuant to chapter 400 zoning, article 5 commercial districts, the town board does hereby grant a special use permit renewal to Isaac Barnhill, licensing coordinator for 7-Eleven Incorporated, to operate a convenience store with gas station and car wash on the premises located at 4949 Transit Road in the town of Lancaster, upon the terms and conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period beginning April 18, 2023, and ending April 17, 2024. 2, the applicant will continue in compliance with conditions set forth in 400-18 General Commercial District, 400-19 Supplementary Regulations for LI and GC districts, and 400-78 Special Use Permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster to any additional conditions listed herein, as long as the applicant continues to engage in the occupation listed above on the premises, namely, A, renewal of the permit annually until ongoing deficiencies are regularly maintained at no cost to the applicant. B, the applicant will authorize representatives from the building inspector's office to enter the premises upon reasonable notice to inspect the premises to verify compliance with this permit.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor King?
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, number 8, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and on the town board, I have resolution 18 for its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Lancaster has held a public hearing upon the application of Igor Los for a special use permit for a 3-bay truck and trailer repair shop and a small office known as Auto Wave Incorporated on the premise located at 1035 Ransom Road in the town of Lancaster. And the board issued such special use permit on May 15, 2017. Whereas by letter dated March 17, 2023, Igor Los, President of Auto Wave Inc., has requested that the town board renew the special use permit for an additional 2-year period. And whereas the code enforcement officer has recommended the approval of the special use permit renewal in his letter dated March 30, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster does hereby grant the special use permit renewal to Igor Los for Auto Wave Inc. for a 3-bay truck and trailer repair shop, and small office on the premise of 1035 Ransom Road in the town of Lancaster upon the terms and conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period beginning May 15, 2023 and ending May 15, 2025, and that the applicant will continue in compliance with the conditions as set forth under administrative enforcement according to the town of Lancaster, and do any additional conditions listed herein. Basically, it's must comply with the noise ordinance, must be renewed every 2 years. They must authorize representatives from the building inspector's office to enter the premise. The applicant is to provide a copy of their business papers, New York State tax ID numbers, and this permit will terminate when the applicant no longer owns this business.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor King?
Yes. As stated, we've tabled resolution number 9, so Councilmember Burkhart, any time, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I'm offering Resolution 10 for adoption. Whereas Twin District Volunteer Fire Company, by letter received March 27, 2023, has requested the addition of the following member to the roster of said fire association. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster hereby confirms the addition to the membership of the Twin District Volunteer Fire Company the following individual: Stephen Rosen.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazur?
Yes.
Supervisor King?
Yes. Councilmember Dickman, number 11, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I offer resolution 11 for its adoption. Whereas Jack Gizorzio, owner of Back Home and Yard Services LLC, has submitted an application for the special use permit to use the existing buildings located at 515 Pavement Road, Suite 12, Lancaster, New York, as a storage building as permitted in L1 Light Industrial Zoning District in accordance with provisions of Light Industrial and Chapter 400-2A off-street parking, loading, and stacking facilities of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. And whereas the Town of Lancaster requires the Town Board to conduct a public hearing before the issuance of the special use permit for the proposed use. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Chapter 400-78 special use permits of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, a public hearing on the proposed special use permit for Jack Gizorzio, owner of Back Home and Yard Services LLC, to use the existing building located at 515 Pavement Road, Suite 12, Lancaster, New York. The storage facility will be held at Town Hall, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, on the 17th day of April 2023 at 7:05 p.m. local time, and that notice of time and place of such hearing be published in the Lancaster Bee, a newspaper of general circulation in said town, and be posted on the town bulletin board, and that a copy of such notice of hearing be referred to the Erie County Department of Planning pursuant to Section 239M of the General Municipal Law, which notice shall be made in the form attached hereto and made a part hereof.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Freeman?
Yes. Councilmember Burkhart, would you do number 12 and 13?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and honorable town board. I'm offering resolutions 12 and 13 for adoption. Whereas Ed Schiller of William Shaw Associates, the town of Lancaster's consulting engineers, by letter dated March 27, 2023, has requested that the town board authorize an invitation to bid for Opera House HVAC improvements, 21 Central Avenue, within the town of Lancaster. And whereas the town board has given due review and consideration to the request for HVAC improvements for the Opera House and deems it in the public interest to invite public bids for conformance with general municipal law, section 103 of the state of New York. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby invites public bids for the Opera House HVAC improvements. Said bids are to be in conformance with the plans and specifications which are available at the office of William Shutt Associates PC, 37 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, and to be received in the office of the town clerk, 21 Central Avenue, Lancaster, New York, no later than 10 a.m. local time on April 26, 2023, and open thereafter.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Freeman?
Yes.
Resolution 13, whereas by letter dated March 27, 2023, Edward Schiller, the Director of Municipal Projects for the town of Lancaster, has requested the town board approve expenditures for emergency replacement of the soffit at the front of the town hall building located at 21 Central Ave, Lancaster, so the investigation and repair design can start immediately. And whereas by letter dated March 27, 2023, Edward Schiller has recommended that the town of Lancaster authorize said expenditure to Kidney Architects, 134 Genesee Street, Buffalo, New York, to inspect and provide temporary measures for the soffit in an amount not to exceed $2,400 per its quote dated March 27, 2023. And whereas there will be additional costs to be billed at an hourly basis in accordance to the need to the test for lead in the paint and asbestos in the caulk at expenses incurred in obtaining a lift and environmental testing. And whereas the project will be paid for with funds from account 01-1620-0426, building repairs and maintenance. Now therefore, be it resolved, the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves the expenditures of funds as requested by Edward Schiller, Director of Municipal Projects, to Kidney Architects, to inspect and provide temporary measures for emergency repairs in an amount not to exceed $2,400 per its quote dated March 27, 2023, and to be paid for with the funds allocated in buildings, repairs, and maintenance.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
And we got the 2,400 is for the lift. The Denny's prices is now, it was an unknown price for Denny, for the day that they were out there.
Say it again.
What I missed? Denny's proposal, they didn't list the price, they listed some hourly rates, time and expense while they were doing the investigation. 2,400 that was attached to their proposal was for the lift that they brought in. And then the other secondary cost was the cost from Stoll for the environmental testing.
All right.
So we don't have an exact figure for the report that we just got.
Understood. You want me to redraft that for next week?
Or we can, on the first, now therefore be it resolved, we can go down to inspect, get rid of, and provide temporary measures. I'm saying to inspect for emergency repairs, it's basically, they needed the lift to inspect.
That was for the lift, right?
Right.
And Denny's architect, there was not a dollar amount set,
So the 24 was for the lift,
just for the lift.
Right.
and not to repairs in an amount
we didn't have the equipment to go up there.
Yeah.
To inspect.
So we had the fire department there.
We can do a second, therefore be it resolved, authorizing $2,400 strictly for the lift. And then the rest of the wherefore be it resolved will be per the quote submitted on an emergency basis.
Will you send that to me?
Yes, absolutely.
Very good.
Does any of the board members have a question? Okay.
So,
There-
no, we have a question. We have a second.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a second with the amendments. Okay, so I'm roll, please.
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes. Okay, Councilmember Whitman, can you present number 14, please?
Yes, just to let everybody know, there's an amendment on 14, there was a typo, and that's in the first paragraph, for the first whereas, in the first line, where the original said chapter 275-10, should be chapter 4-3. Whereas Dennis Hanashevsky, doing business as Ransom Auto Parts Incorporated, 867 Ransom Road, Lancaster, New York, 14086, has applied for a renewal license to conduct a salvage yard on the premise of 867 Ransom Road, the town of Lancaster, pursuant to chapter 275-10, the code of the town of Lancaster. And whereas the application was referred to the town board for review, and whereas the senior town code enforcement officer, by letter dated March 21st, 2023, has notified the town board that he has completely reviewed and reports the property is out of compliance with town code. Number one, the salvage yard shall be completely surrounded with a fence, the type and height of which shall be, in the opinion of the town board, will substantially screen the salvage yard operation on all sites thereof. Number two, all motor vehicles and parts and scrap thereof stored or deposited at the salvage yard shall be kept within the enclosure of the salvage yard, except as removal shall be necessary for the transportation of same in the reasonable course of business. Whereas, pursuant to Town Code Chapter 275-11 renewal hearing, a public hearing was held March 20th, 2023, and whereas it is the recommendation of the senior town of Lancaster code enforcement officer that Ransom Auto Parts Incorporated be issued a one-time 6-month probationary license renewal, within which time the applicant must remedy all the deficiencies, and whereas it is the recommendation of the senior town of Lancaster code enforcement officer that failure to comply with remedies and that allotted time frame shall result in the forfeiture of license and lead to decommissioning the facility in compliance with all regulatory agency requirements. Now therefore be it resolved that Dennis Hanashevsky, doing business as Ransom Auto Parts Incorporated, 867 Ransom Road, Lancaster, New York, be and is hereby authorized to conduct a salvage yard on premise situate at 867 Ransom Road, Lancaster, New York, for a probationary period between April 3rd, 2023 and October 2nd, 2023, in strict conformance with the application of the petitioner as filed in the office of town clerk. Be it further resolved that the failure to remedy all non-compliant deficiencies cited by the town of Lancaster or any other regulatory agency before October 2nd, 2023 shall result in license forfeiture and decommissioning of the facility.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question, on the roll?
Councilmember Burkhart.
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman.
Yes.
Councilmember Leary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer.
Yes.
Supervisor Rufino.
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, would you present resolution number 15, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor, Honorable Town Board, I offer the following resolution, move for its adoption. Whereas the town board is considering the proposed construction of 5 two-story, 10-unit apartment buildings, including a stormwater management system, utility improvements, 111 parking spaces, and 50 garage spaces, as submitted by Brian Young of Young Development on a 4.72-acre parcel located 6026 Broadway in the town of Lancaster. Whereas the town of Lancaster Planning Board has reviewed the environmental impact of this construction project pursuant to the secret regulations at their meeting on March 15, 2023, and recommended that a negative declaration be issued. Whereas the town board has duly considered the plans for the renovation project using the law environmental assessment form, criteria for determining significance set forth in the secret regulations, and such other information deemed appropriate, including the recommendation of the town of Lancaster Planning Board. And whereas the town board has identified the relevant issues of environmental concern, taken a hard look at these areas, and has made a reasoned elaboration of the basis for its determination. And whereas the proposed action has been labeled an unlisted action under seeker. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Lancaster that one, based upon the town board's thorough and careful review, the proposed construction of 5 two-story, 10-unit apartment buildings, including a stormwater management system, utility improvements, 111 parking spaces and 50 garage spaces is submitted by Brian Nevin of the Young Development, a 4.72 acre parcel located at 6026 Broadway in the town of Lancaster. Will not result in any significant environmental impacts and hereby issues a negative declaration pursuant to seeker for the reasons stated therein. 2, the town clerk shall file a copy of the negative declaration in the file for the project. 3, the town attorney's office shall prepare the final notice of determination of non-significance. Petitioner with all required New York State and Erie County agencies, following a copy of the letter and transmitted. Number 4, this resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second?
Second.
I have a question. On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Lupino?
Yes. Council on order, amendment number 16, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Honorable Town Board. I offer Resolution 16 for adoption. Whereas the Village of Lancaster Mayor Lynn Ruda has requested that the Town of Lancaster police captain be present at pre-scheduled village board meetings and occasional special meetings when requested by a village board member or village clerk to address potential security issues and provide information related to policing and matters. Whereas the Village of Lancaster has prepared intermunicipal cooperation agreement specifying the terms and conditions for said request, which has been reviewed and approved by the police chief and the town attorney, and whereas compensation of the town for a captain's attendance at pre-scheduled and special village board meetings will be made in the amount of reimbursable expenses incurred pursuant to the terms and conditions of proposed agreement between the town and the village as presented. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of the town of Lancaster hereby approves the intermunicipal cooperation agreement between the town of Lancaster and the village of Lancaster as presented, allowing the town of Lancaster police captain to attend pre-scheduled village board meetings and when requested by a village board member or village clerk, special village board meetings, and be it further resolved, the village shall reimburse the town for expenses incurred pursuant to the terms of the proposed agreement as presented, and be it further resolved, the prior agreement between the parties is hereby deemed rescinded upon execution of the new agreement by both parties, and be it further resolved that the town board of town of Lancaster hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute this agreement, which shall take effect immediately and shall remain in effect until such time as either party terminates according to the terms of the agreement.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question. On the roll.
Excuse me. Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Lupino?
Yes. Councilmember Mazer, number 17, please.
Mr. Supervisor, Honorable Town Board, offer the following resolution and move for its adoption. Whereas the town board is considering the proposed development of a parcel involving approximately 5.56 acres, project being a mixed use of apartments and retail, with 4.5 acre physically disturbed area located at 5428 Genesee Street in the town of Lancaster. And whereas the town of Lancaster Planning Board has reviewed the environmental impact of this construction project pursuant to the secret regulations at their meeting on March 15, 2023, and recommended that a negative declaration be issued. And whereas the town board has duly considered the plans for the renovation project using the long environmental assessment form, the criteria for determining significance set forth in secret regulations, and such other information deemed appropriate, including the recommendation of the town of Lancaster Planning Board. And whereas the town board has identified the relevant areas of environmental concern, has taken a hard look at these areas, and has made a reasoned elaboration of the basis for its determination. And whereas the proposed action has been labeled unlisted action under seeker. Now therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Lancaster that one, based upon the town board's thorough and careful review of the proposed development of parcel involving approximately 5.56 acres, project being a mixed-use apartment apartments and retail with 4.5 acre physically disturbed area located at 5428 Genesee Street in the town of Lancaster, will not result in any significant environmental impacts, and hereby issues a negative declaration pursuant to seeker for the reasons stated therein. 2, the town clerk shall file a copy of the negative declaration in the file for the project. 3, the town attorney's office shall prepare and file a notice of determination of non-significance with the petitioner and with all required New York State and county agencies, filing a copy of the letter of transmittal. And 4, the resolution is effective immediately.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question? On the roll.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rubio?
Yes, Councilmember Dickman, would you present number 18, please?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Honorable Board, I offer Resolution 18 for adoption. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster held a public hearing on May 16, 2022, pursuant to the Code of the Town of Lancaster upon the application of Anderson's Frozen Custard by Keith Anderson for a special use permit to allow Anderson's Frozen Custard to operate an indoor dining area, an outdoor dining area, and a food service drive-thru on the premise located at 4855 Transit Road in the Town of Lancaster. And whereas by letter dated October 26, 2022, Town of Lancaster Senior Code Enforcement Officer Matt Fishon recommended issuance of a special use permit for the period of 2 years. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Lancaster does grant a special use permit to Anderson's Frozen Custard to operate an indoor dining area, an outdoor dining area, and food service drive-thru on the premise located at 4855 Transit Road in the Town of Lancaster upon the terms and conditions set forth in the zoning ordinance for the period of April 4th, 2023 through April 3rd, 2025, and that the applicant will continue in compliance with the conditions as set forth in their special use permits, general commercial of the Code of the Town of Lancaster, as long as the applicant continues to engage in said business, and to any additional conditions listed therein. And the permit is to be renewed every 2 years. The applicant will authorize representatives from the building inspector's office to enter upon reasonable notice. The applicant will provide proof of New York State business license, and no amplified sound is to be transmitted to the outside dining area, including music and sporting events.
May I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
I have a couple of questions. Matt, did we ever look at making the traffic turn left? I mean, the window was on the south side of the building, correct? Okay. There's an open driveway that goes right into Michael Anthony Lane. We have had numerous people from Michael Anthony Lane complain about the fact that they don't have a light there, and they have a hard time getting out. Now, the light at Delta Sonic has helped out somewhat, but now you're gonna take a whole bunch of people, put them through the drive-through, leave that open where they can pull right out of Michael Anthony Lane. So have we explored having them go back through the parking lot, taking a different exit?
Well, they do have the access agreement with the Value Shopping Center. There's 2 other additional driveway openings on Transit Road where traffic could have exit.
Okay, is there any way to shut down the one that goes to Michael Anthony Lane?
I'm not sure. Not too sure about that.
Well, I would ask that we explore that before we vote on this. Or add that as, well, I don't know how we added it as a condition. First, we gotta explore it.
Yeah, I don't know how that works with, I don't know if they rent that space, if they own that portion, if they have a right of way.
They own that portion of the property. There's cross-access agreements there. This comes on the recommendation of the planning board on the original site plan. They couldn't meet their parking requirements for the outside dining portion of the restaurant, so they chose to do the interior renovations until they were able to file the parking agreement with the Value Shopping Center on the adjacent parcel, which they were able to satisfy.
But correct me if I'm wrong, one of the special use permits, one of the things we're supposed to be looking for is the impact on the residents in the area?
Traffic impact, I believe, was addressed through State Department of Transportation for Transit Road at that intersection.
Did they factor in here the window for the ice cream?
That was the project. All the other was the coordinated review at the time.
Well, personally, I think we need to find a different way for these people to get out of there. It's your resolution if you want to keep it going at this point. I'm still getting complaints from the people in the area, and they're not happy with what this is gonna cause, the impact this is gonna have on the residents in the area, so.
I mean, we know there's a traffic problem there, definitely, but I just don't know how you can differentiate if it's traffic for Anderson's, if it's traffic for Sherwin-Williams, if it's traffic for Value, how are you gonna differentiate who goes which way out, which driveway, unless the property owner from Value would somehow agree to close off the exit that goes out to Michael Anthony. Well, I don't know if there's something he'd be willing to do at his expense for Anderson's to be able to get a special use permit.
Yeah, the issue is you're putting a whole bunch more people right there in that spot. And a nice hot day, I imagine everybody likes Anderson's, you're gonna be going there, you're gonna have a nice line going there, and there's gonna be people pulling right out into Michael Anthony, which is gonna affect the already, the traffic issues that already exist.
I mean, I'd be willing to look into it further and table it until the next meeting if we can, you know, get some ideas from.
I'll show you the business now. I mean,
Yeah.
this is gonna take some time, and I think if we say yes to it, and we look into it, and we meet with the owners, and with that, if the traffic pattern increases, we can have that also, on to look at it and say, okay, this has increased, this has become even more of a problem. Now we have even more to either shut it down or get another light in there.
You're saying add another condition and discuss with the property owner, add a condition and traffic backs up and we have problems and
Correct.
worsens, then we're gonna have to suspend your special use permit, is that what you're saying?
Or we can turn around and can we talk to the owner of Value and yourself, either block that off or come up with another solution for at that spot.
Well, if you want to add a condition in there, I don't have a problem going through with we're gonna take a look at the traffic over the next.
Absolutely, and I think that would be the best thing,
Or
because
something legally in there, put in there.
Yeah, is it okay to do in town? We just add a condition that,
They're not aware of.
well, then I suggest, how about if we just table it to the next meeting? Because
How long is that shut down for then? Are they dependent upon this resolution to move forward?
I don't believe so. Again, the special use permit is a renewable permit
Okay.
that would enforce any site plan conditions, again, that had gone through a review process. I just want to remind this board that the driveway out on Michael Anthony Lane is under the ownership of the 4855 Transit Road. It has nothing to do with the transit, the Value Shopping Center. It's their driveway onto their property. And through the original Transit Road Access Management Overlay District, they weren't allowed a driveway out on the Transit Road. They're directed, and according to the overlay district, it's preferred that these driveways go out onto a town road as opposed to the state highway. The whole point of the overlay district is to reduce the number of driveways on the state highway. So whether or not Michael Anthony gets a lane, I think a light may be a moot point because one, the traffic engineers at DOT did not determine it to be significant impact of the traffic. Connector of Michael Anthony to the rear subdivisions may be a more reasonable approach to alleviate that traffic. There's been discussions back and forth, but as the application stands today, the recommendation was based on that site plan amendment that was reviewed, I think, 2 years ago. And it just now become compliant with the parking regulations. That's the only reason for this delay.
Excuse me, there's an animal hospital behind Anderson's too. Columbia Road.
so can we add a condition in here without discussing it with Anderson's? Would that be legal, or would that even be, bad business practice to add something that I'm not saying
You
speaking
can
here.
add a condition if you want to, but how do you enforce a condition that says subject to too much traffic? What defines too much traffic? And my concern is, we start putting stuff in here that we can't quantify, you're just leaving yourself wide open for expensive court intervention interpretation.
And to your point, Adam, who knows who's going through that driveway?
Exactly. I mean, how do you differentiate, you stop someone, oh, well, I had to go to Value and the Anderson. I mean, where do you draw the line? I don't know. I agree there's a huge traffic problem there, but.
Plus, I mean, the state said they couldn't have a driveway going off the transit. So they comply to what they need to do as well. It's business.
The state also said, and there was a sign for it, Tim Hortons, that they couldn't make left turns out of there, and then somebody, previous board and the state put that down, and now there's problems with that. I think we're just creating another problem here, you know, by allowing that to empty onto Michael Anthony, which already has traffic problems.
And I
So
think-
again, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and Bob, when things like this come up, I really appreciate it, you would do this before the meeting. So, you know, kind of, when Adam had went out to them maybe Friday or Saturday, and Jesse was watching the back letter.
Well, unfortunately, we don't get these things till Friday afternoon,
Yeah.
and I wasn't, got no heads up from anybody that this particular one was coming. So, and unfortunately, being sick during the weekend, you know, this is my first chance to really talk about it. So again, I think we need more of a heads up, and perhaps we should be voting on these things immediately after resolutions come out like this on a Friday. But if you guys want to move forward,
Well, after listening to what the town attorney said, you know, how do you really differentiate which traffic is coming from where, and where do you draw the line and say, this is too much traffic, this isn't? You know, I guess it's a note for the future when these things come up, that it's something we take into consideration. But maybe we even look at the legality of doing a traffic study and putting in a special use permit the next time, saying, hey, listen, we're having problems here when you're coming to the board for a special use permit.
Matt,
Maybe we could request. I'm sorry.
No, Matt, do special use permits have to be 1 year, or I'm sorry, 2 year, or could you say 1 year with, is it?
It could be, the duration could be placed at the board's pleasure.
Just a suggestion that we say it's a special use for 1 year and see how it goes, and then if Dave's come back here next year and can apply.
I think that's a very fair, I think that's a fair compromise. Maybe we don't have any issues, maybe we do, and that only binds us for you.
So, amend the resolution to 1 year?
Yeah, I'm fine, as long as the rest of the board agrees to that, I'll change it to 1 year.
sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, roll please.
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Chipman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rupino?
Yes. Okay, we can move, this is number 19, this resolves the town board, town of Lancaster, hereby grants the Lancaster Garden Club permission to use the senior center's parking lot located at 100 Oxford Avenue for the Plant and Garden Decor fundraiser, which will be held on June 3rd, 2023, from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m., with setup beginning at 8 a.m. May I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
Councilmember Burkhart?
Yes.
Councilmember Chipman?
Yes.
Councilmember Leary?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazer?
Yes.
Supervisor Rupino?
Yes. Councilmember Leary, number 20, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Supervisor, honorable town board members, I move the following resolution for adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Lancaster has the responsibility and authority to make appointments to the Lancaster Industrial Development Agency, and whereas Andrew Strait of the town of Lancaster has submitted his request to be appointed a member of the Lancaster Industrial Development Agency, now therefore be it resolved that Andrew Strait of the town of Lancaster be and is hereby appointed to the position of member, Lancaster Industrial Development Agency, to replace Shannon McNichol, and be it further resolved that this appointment shall be effective immediately.
May I have a second?
I'd like to request a table on this. I mean, I think it's important to have another woman's voice on the Industrial Development Agency Board. I don't, you know, again, I'd like to see, maybe in writing from Ms. McNichol, her reasons why she missed the last four, especially if we had somebody miss 4 meetings last year too.
I don't know if we should table it, because I don't know, if the board can agree to let her go.
Well, she's, technically, Bob, since she's really not.
She's not part of the IDA anymore. You gotta do your oath of office within 30 days.
Well, that's a technicality. We've gone this road before, you know, I looked that up before in the past, and there's people from the clerk's office that didn't get it in time. There's people from all different offices that didn't have their oath of office in time. May I ask a question? Were you notified to come for your oath of office?
I don't recall. I checked my emails, there's no email from her, and I don't recall if she called or not.
Did you, if you don't mind, did you get the notifications of the meetings?
I'm included in group emails from the chairman time, yes, but
So you got the notifications December, January, February, March.
yes. But
Okay.
there is, can I speak further on this or no?
Well, we don't want to delve into your,
Yeah.
personal life.
No, it's not that. It's, I just heard Mr. Leemaster state that he called me.
Oh, can you come up to,
Sure.
because
Just one thing bothers me. Mr. Leemaster, just before you all, said that he called me multiple times and texted me multiple times. He called me once and texted me one time on January 18th and 19th. So it wasn't multiple times.
I'll get my phone records for the board.
Yeah, he really
regardless of,
couldn't.
I think regardless of all this,
But just want that.
you came here to present yourself, to show, to continue interest being on this board. You are a small business owner in this community. I know when I landed the idea, I thought to have something like that on this board, I thought it was very, they want input from all different facets. So I think you're a value to that board, especially if you're making a commitment. And no, I'm not in favor of having you removed from it.
Just a question.
Listen, I have nothing against Shannon McNichol. Appreciate what you did. Unfortunately, you didn't show up for 4 meetings and we had to move forward. Now, coming from you, Mr. Supervisor, you wouldn't put the mayor, okay, from the village of Lancaster on the IDA. You wouldn't put the mayor from the village of Depew on the IDA, which led in whatever you did. A lot of these things weren't announced either. So I don't know what you're talking about here and the point you're making. I mean, I think it's, it's great that a woman wants to be involved, but unfortunately, she wasn't able to show up for the meetings, and we gotta move forward. We were warned by Mr. Zanner, the attorney for the IDA, we have to move forward, and we did. And that's where we stand at this point. So I'd like to move forward with this if there is a second on it, and if there's not a second, then it's gonna die anyways, but then we're gonna have to come up with somebody else. Did anybody second it?
Do you have an explanation why you didn't even email and just state that I cannot make it? Because it doesn't take that long reading a text.
I had personal family problems within the first quarter of this year, and then last December, I was on one trip in February in Tennessee. So outside of that, I have family problems. So, but I'm here now, and I can commit to the remaining 9 sessions of this year. I can put that in writing, I can be here, but I trust all of your judgment, and you voted me in, so I thank you. I'm happy to have finally met half of you. I've only met half of you. But I'm here, and I can be here for the rest of the year, should you all choose. I'm leaning on everyone's best judgment. I do believe in Lancaster. I believe in all of what all of you guys are doing. To be a part of it, it's an honor. Like I said, I'm asked to sit on many boards. I decline them all. This is the only board I care to sit on. This board, and then one board for the Board of Realtors. I am on the New York State Association of Realtors Board of Directors, as well as the Buffalo Niagara Association Board of Directors. But that has to do with my career. This is the one board that I agreed to join because it has to do with the community. A couple years ago, I reached out to members of the Lancaster Village in town, and I said, if there's anything real estate related that I can bring my expertise to, real estate is my background, small business is my passion, more so than real estate. So someone reached out and said, you might be a good fit for this board. I actually spoke with Dino at Link about it. I said, do you really think I'm a good fit? Because I don't take it lightly when I sit on a board. I don't like to feel incompetent. I don't like to sit on a board just to sit on a board. My time is very valuable. I am very expensive per hour. So I need to commit. It's a lot. And I can give you the rest of the year. And then it seemed as though this last year, the big turnover, there was a lot of struggle with the board last year. Everyone getting on the same page. I don't like all the politics. I'm not anyone's puppet. I'm just here to be as judicial as I can and try to do what's best for Lancaster.
Was it 90 days for oath of office that they have, Phil?
I think it's 30.
30, I believe it's 30.
30 days?
And she was sent a letter like everyone else on the organizational resolution.
That's all I have.
And we did take from all different groups when we put together this IDA. And, we appreciate you showing up for some of the meetings, but at some point, we just gotta move forward. So that's what we're doing, and we didn't hear anything back from you. So we asked around, and found some people who were interested, and they put in for the job, and unfortunately, you're not on there again. We appreciate what you did, but we gotta move forward.
Going forward, if you say you still want to be on, I'll put a resolution to put you back on the next meeting. And then come to your open office. Now, whether it passes or not, I don't know, but I will put a resolution and put you back on.
I trust all of your best judgment. I'm here to serve if you need me. I'm here to offer that on my own.
I don't know how we don't think we should go and continue to run what you missed over the office. So we have to-
It's an easy trip.
Okay, thank you.
Before we go there, the resolution was presented. Is
Do you
there
have
a second? Is there a second on the resolution?
Now, can we table it?
I would be in favor. I mean, a lot of things came out today, and, you know, to be honest with you, I was kind of leaning one way. I heard part of it, I heard part of it today, and all this stuff since 5:30 today just kind of came at me from 100 directions. And I just, honestly, I don't feel prepared to vote either way on this today. I've heard a lot of things tonight that I can neither confirm nor deny, because I haven't heard them until tonight. And to do my job the right way, I feel that I need to research things and look into everything and get all the facts, get everything in order before I can make the right decision. And I would like to ask to table it to the next meeting, too. This is a tough one, and I just want to have all my bases covered and make the decision for what's right for Lancaster.
I think it would be the fairest thing to do for all the parties involved.
To table it?
Until next week.
I'll table it till the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to communications. 185 is resolution tonight. 186 and 187 are the same time. 188 and 189, resolution tonight. 190, received in time. 191 and 192, resolution tonight. 193, received in file. 194 and 195 are full resolution. 196 is town attorney. 197, resolution tonight. 198, received and filed. 199, full resolution. 200 through 204, received and filed. Okay, so that brings us to the part of the meeting. Everybody can come and comment to the town board with a 5-minute time limit on any subject matter. If you'd like to comment, please raise your hand, come to the podium, state your name and address. Yes, sir.
My name is Dan, Erie County. My residency is Erie County. I come here to,
That's not proper. We need your name, full name, and we need your address.
well, I don't wish to waive my Fourth Amendment right to speak to the public board.
We can't record you.
I don't wish to waive my Fourth Amendment right to speak in the public forum.
Okay.
I come to address the board about something that comes to my attention. I am Dan from Auditing Erie County. I am a First Amendment auditor of this local area, and the police department has a sign in their lobby that says, "Members of the public are prohibited from video recording and photography inside the facility." And I'm specifically speaking about the publicly accessible lobby. I'm not talking about the back rooms, because I can understand that is restricted access and we are not allowed to go back there and freely film, but the publicly accessible areas is a constitutionally protected area to be able to film in. Now, on March 21st of 2001, I did my First Amendment audit ever in the Erie County area, and this police department, Lancaster Police Department, did not have this sign. It was brought to my attention around September 22nd of 2022 that this sign was put up in the lobby. This sign here contradicts the United States Constitution. And my problem with this is right above this sign in the first lobby, because because there's two lobbies to the police station. There's the first lobby, then there's the main lobby. Right above the main, the first entrance, the corridor to that thing, there's a sign above this sign that I just showed you here that says, filming is prohibited by members of the public. And the sign reads, "Men and women of the Lancaster Police Department shall respect and protect the rights of individuals." Then right underneath it, they got a contradictory sign that says they're going to ban public photography in this room. Number one, this sign in the police department lobby has no penal code underneath it. It is not a law. It would be against the Constitution for there to be a sign that says no photography in the publicly accessible areas. So I'm asking that the town board look into this because there's a few problems with this. One, there's a sign that says the Lancaster Police Department is here to protect the rights of the citizens and the individuals, and then they have a sign below it that contradicts that. So I'm asking that we either take down the sign that says the Lancaster Police are here to protect the rights of the individuals, or we're gonna have to take down the unconstitutional sign because they contradict each other. And my biggest problem with this sign is that Lancaster Police are gonna have a bad image from this because I teach the people that their constitutional right of freedom of the press. That means any member of the public, it can be the press at any point in time. You're the press, we're all the press. Everybody in this stand here is the press at any point in time. It's just freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press. It's a constitutional right. It makes the police department look dirty because I spend my time teaching the public that they can record in there. Now, I went on the 22nd and I talked to a Lieutenant Spire, and I brought it to the attention of the Lancaster Police Department, my concern about this sign. And nothing was done, so I've come here to talk to you guys today. As far as March 31st of this month, last month of 2023, this sign is still up in the police department. These signs need to come down. The people are sick of police lying to them. We don't know when we can trust the police anymore because the police lie. And this sign here definitely hinders the trust of the police to the public. And on that matter, I want to say one thing. 50 years ago, the most hated man in America would have been a cop killer. All right? Nowadays, when we hear in the news that a cop got shot, that's not so anymore. All right? People go, oh, what did that cop do to deserve it? And this is the atmosphere that the police are creating for themselves. And I want to know, what did the police do to their image that it is not the most hated man in America when a cop gets killed? And I'm no way insinuating that somebody should go out and shoot police officers. I'm just making a point that 50 years ago, that would have been the most hated man in America, and no longer is it that way. All right? There's things like Uvalde that devastate the police's image. And this sign here is one thing that definitely it hinders the police's image. I'm asking that the town either force the police department to take the signs down. Now, on the day that I did visit, they said the purpose of this sign is that someone coming into the police department who wants to produce a crime or tell the police something, they would say, oh, if somebody's recording in there, that person might be shy to do so. But what I'm saying is this sign warranted? Is this time warranted enough?
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir?
Public trust is what we're asking for out here.
Sir, excuse me, but to say that about our Lancaster Police Department, you are very wrong.
Please address us.
Thank you.
Unconstitutional sign.
I personally trust each police officer in our Lancaster like you all do. Without them and with New York State, the way it's going, allowing them to arrest somebody and let them go for anything is disastrous on common man and woman. That is, to say that about our Lancaster Police Department, he has no idea who they are and what they stand for. That's all I have to say about that one. Go to the IDA committee or any other committee that's in Lancaster in itself, including the planning board where you have volunteers. Yes, I do understand, rightfully so, everybody, including me, we all go through issues in life, so be it physical, family, on and on. But when we when you join a committee of that, the IDA or a planning committee, especially the IDA, I've listened to enough of the videos, it's so important that a committee man, a committee person should be there, because it went through the steps from the planning board to the town board, on to Matthew, to everybody. So, once it gets to the IDA, that's almost like a define, this is a industrial business coming to the IDA to ask for tax breaks. If all the members, and there's only, how many votes? 6 votes, Mr. Leary?
There's 6 people currently on there, should be 7.
7.
To do it, it's gotta be odd numbers, we can either get rid of somebody, get it down to 5, you can't keep it at an even number, so right now there are 6 people on the IDA.
And that would be for the voting process that I fully understand for years. You want that one member to maybe vote yea or nay. But it's so duly important under this committee, what I see them do for the future of Lancaster and now the Q. Without all the members being there in a constant, yes, you could be sick one day or whatever, and not to call the chairman or any other officer on there. That is, they need to move forward right now. And to miss that amount of time, personally speaking, if you go into that type of issue, you should just resign. It gives another volunteer a chance to serve on the IDA. Totally the right thing to do. We all, if you can't make committee meetings, I've been there too, I resign.
Anybody else want to speak? Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, good evening. How are you guys tonight? I'm Tom Sweeney, representing the Lancaster Q Area Chamber of Commerce, and I just wanted to come bring something to your attention. We have a Lord's Dinner coming up and a community celebration, and I wanted to invite everybody to that on April 26th. And also, we're still up for nominations. We're still actively looking for nominations for 10 categories. Small, medium, and large business of the year, the top 3. We have new business of the year, nonprofit organization of the year, citizen of the year, educator of the year, celebrating women in business award, volunteer of the year, and young entrepreneur of the year. All of those nominations and the selection committee will announce the winners before the meeting at the Lord's Dinner. And the nominations are currently due and being accepted through this Thursday. The nomination selection committee will meet on Friday and Monday and the next week to vote for those. So I want to bring that to everybody's attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dennis Nashesky, 859 Ransom Road, Lancaster. I just want to say thank you for the town board to give me an opportunity to get my father's junkyard back into compliance. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. That's it. I just want to make one comment. We are very proud of the police department, our accredited police department. They service us very well, they service our residents very well. We have letters of recommendation on how good of a job they do over and over again. They outreach to our community, they are outreach to our students, they are the outreach to the general public in general. So we're very proud, and I think I'm speaking for everybody.
Absolutely.
Can I say something about the police too?
I don't have a problem with the police, I have a problem with the sign. Just the sign, to let that be known.
No, you have a problem.
Let's not engage, please.
A year and a half ago, in my father's junkyard front parking lot, probably about a 25 or 28 foot fiberglass bolt was dumped off. I found it in the morning, I went to the doctor, I didn't know what to do. I called up the Lancaster police, they came down. When I got back from the doctor, the one officer looked on the trailer, he found an old inspection sticker, registration sticker, and he traced down one of the old owners and got a hold of him, says, we don't care that you sold this boat to this guy, that guy, this guy. It was illegally dumped off in this guy's parking lot. He can't deal with fiberglass boats, and it was removed that day. Thanks to the Lancaster Police.
I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go.
May I have a second? On the roll, please.
Councilmember Berger,
Yes.
Councilmember Dickman,
Yes.
Councilmember Leary,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker, Supervisor King.
Yes. Thank you all for attending.
Chief, do you have anything to say about that sign?
Not currently, no.
What's that?
Not currently, no.
No? You approve of the sign?
Yes, I do. That's why it's hanging right.
Well, Erie County family, you have it. There's your Chief of Police of Lancaster. Approves of the unconstitutional sign. Does not believe it has anything to do with making the police department look dirty. There you go, fam. Unconstitutional sign will carry. Have a good night, Kevin. Yeah, there you guys have it. Your constitutional sign will carry. They have nothing to say about it. They won't defend themselves. They just think they're upright and righteous about their sign. Looks like the town board is going to go ahead and support the sign. We will continue doing stories until the sign is down. The Pew sign went down. This sign can go down as well. Got a Lancaster PD over here in the corner. Let's see what you guys think of that. I'm going to do a full story on it. Got some footage all together. We're going to produce a full story on that. Thanks you guys for joining me. We will not let unconstitutional signs stand up in Erie County. They feel like I was attacking the police department. As far as, you know, everybody likes to love police. Everybody wants to be part of the people who love police, but let's straighten out that image, guys. I'll see you guys later in the comment sections.